This is the Paycheck to Daycheck Reselling Podcast.
I'm Liz.
And I'm Ashley.
Together, we have been making money online collectively for over 10 years.
Our mission is to help you start, learn, and grow a reselling business and to inspire you to turn your paycheck into a daycheck.
The world is changing, and we want to help you change with it. This is going to be our very last podcast episode for the year 2022. So what better thing to talk about would be our personal reselling resolutions. Before we get started, let's talk about kind of the difference between a resolution and a goal. So a resolution would be more of a statement of something that you want to change. And then a goal is what you want to achieve, steps to achieve it, and then more of kind of a timeline of when you want to achieve it by. January 1st is a great time to make those resolutions. A lot of people do it for eating healthy, going to the gym, things like that. But also it's an opportunity as us resellers to set reselling resolutions. So we're going to share some of our personal reselling resolutions for 2023.
Very well said, Liz. All right, so I guess I'll kick it off. Some of my resolutions for next year, the main one, I guess, is going to be staying consistent. And I think a lot of people struggle with this. You know, it's probably not just me, at least I hope it's not just me, but I need to be more consistent with pretty much everything in my business: listing, photographing, sourcing, sending offers. I found that when we moved into this house, I got out of my routine. I had a pretty solid routine going, and then the move just knocked me right out of whack. And I haven't quite gotten back into that routine since living in this house, which makes me really sad to say, but you know, I'm going to be honest and transparent with you guys. And it's definitely been a little bit of a struggle since like moving in here. I've been able to, you know, keep up with everything, but it just feels like I'm playing catch up too much. So I hate that feeling of like rushing around and trying to get things done and catching up all the time. So a big resolution for me is to stay consistent, because that will, I feel, eliminate the rushing around and trying to play catch up and feeling like I'm always behind. The next thing that I have is to look for more ways to automate tasks in my business or outsource different tasks. I did end up finding a wonderful person to do some listing for me and cross-listing for eBay, Poshmark, and Mercari. So we're working out, you know, the kinks on that and figuring out how I'm going to get images to her. And am I going to do the editing? Is she going to do the editing? Am I pricing? Is she, you know, all the different things. I've never hired a human to do stuff like this for me before. So it's definitely, you know, there's a little bit of a learning curve, and I'm just trying to figure it out as we go along. Luckily, she's incredible and amazing and super talented. So I feel like it's going to be a huge plus to have her by my side in 2023. However, I would also love to get to the point where I could actually hire someone locally to do the photographing of all my items. So then I didn't, you know, I won't have to be taking time out of my schedule to do that as well. Ultimately, I guess what I'm saying, guys, is that I really just want to source. Don't we all, you know? I don't want to do any of the other stuff right now. And my time is becoming more and more limited with the things that we have going on. So I think that that would really help. If I could drop off, you know, I would buy someone like a lighting kit and whiteboard and whatever, you know, the same stuff that I use here, and just buy that for them so they can keep it at their house and drop off inventory. Hopefully it would be someone local, obviously trustworthy, and that would be amazing. And then just pick up inventory every couple of days and swap it out with stuff that they have not photographed yet. So yeah, I'm looking for more ways to automate different things and outsource different things so I can focus on where my passion and talents really lie, which is in finding good items to flip. Another resolution for me is to be more selective, and this is sort of general, but also, I guess, specific. I need to be more selective in my sourcing. What I've found is that because my time is less and less now, and we've kind of mentioned this and touched on it a little bit here and there in different episodes, but if I increase my ROI in my selling point, the price point of my items. Instead of flipping a bunch of items at, $25 to $35, I could flip one item for like $150 to $200. And that's a lot less work. It's a lot less, time sourcing, a lot less photographing, listing. It's just a lot less work and more profit. So I think I'm going to try to focus on that. It would be very beneficial for me in my business. Like I said, my lack of time means that I need to flip more profitable items and not necessarily more quantity of items. And the last thing I have for my resolutions is expanding my network and meeting other resellers online and in real life. So for those of you that don't know, Liz and I have never met in real life before, although it feels like we know each other pretty well. But I would love to meet her and her husband, Casey, in 2023, and other people too, like other local resellers. I only know really one other person kind of near me. She lives about 40 minutes south of me, and I've never met her. So I would love to, reach out. Maybe we could go sourcing together, get lunch or something. I think it really helps to have a network of people to help you stay on track, stay accountable. It helps you to learn new things, new niches. Maybe they source things that you don't, and, you can just help each other out. And having a wide and amazing network of people, coworkers, I guess we're not really coworkers, but you know what I'm getting at. I need to be more social and get out there and meet some more of you guys in real life. So that's what I've got going on for 2023. And I hope you guys all keep me accountable to those.
And that's what is amazing about making those resolutions, because then at the end of the year, next year on the podcast, we can kind of reflect on these resolutions and see if we definitely setting them, it helped our business, or we just still have the same resolutions for the next year.
Hopefully we kill it this year.
All right, my turn to talk about my reselling resolutions. I would say the first thing is to create better organizational processes. I want to look at what worked really well for me last year or this year and what did not work. One of the things that I need to work on is with our private label products, we get all of our returns shipped back to us. And I really don't have a system or any rhyme or reason for how I organize them. I literally get the boxes at the front door. The dogs are excited because the UPS driver brings treats. And then I take those boxes and I bring them to the outbuilding and I literally throw them on the ground. That is not helping anything. So creating processes for organization, like what do I do with them? I should put them in one place. I should open them up, put them in like a separate box. And then what we do is go through them. And if we can repackage them, we repackage them, because a lot of times people return them and they're not even opened, or maybe a corner is damaged, and we can resell them on other platforms or ship them back into Amazon. Another thing I started doing with reselling for being organized is using clothing racks. And I got that idea from Melissa, Capture Your Style. She was a guest on our podcast, and she used clothing racks. And I think that's really helpful for us when we are buying inventory like clothes coming in. Instead of throwing them everywhere and having these big piles of Goodwill bags, actually taking the clothing out, hanging them up, and then those are the ones that we know we have to photograph. So really creating processes of organization like that, I think, is definitely going to help us starting fresh in 2023. Another thing that's my resolution is staying motivated and avoid getting burnt out or not wanting to do certain things. I sometimes lose my motivation to list. I need to come up with ways on how I can definitely stay motivated. And I think one thing is in 2023, focusing more on my health, exercising more, eating healthier, and in turn, I'm going to feel better. I'm going to feel more motivated, more energy to have a super listing session or something. And then also to avoid getting burnt out, because there are going to be times where things are slow. There's going to be times when things are really busy with reselling. Taking time off for me where I'm not thinking about reselling. I have a tendency to it's constantly, and I feel like I can never get away from it. We go on vacation and we're going to go to Seattle for Christmas. What do I want to do? I'm looking at thrift stores. Sometimes I need to not focus on reselling so much and really take time for myself and have opportunities where I can really relax, get reselling off my mind. And then when I come back, I'm going to have a lot more motivation to keep going. Another resolution I have is I want to be more productive with my time. I think when you have social media, like we have the Freeway Flippers YouTube, we have social media for the podcast, I have my own personal social media, kind of get sucked into that. And because when you're reselling, everything's on your phone, I sometimes get way too distracted. So when I look at, okay, I spent 4 hours, photographing and listing, but did I really spend that 4 hours photographing and listing? I did not use my time wisely. I sat there and I got sidetracked. So I really want to start kind of putting limits on how much time I'm doing things and really try not to get distracted. So if I'm at my desk, I need to be at my desk for only 2 hours, and then I need to get up and go to the next task instead of just keep scrolling on social media or getting sidetracked, starting one thing and not finishing it. I really want to be productive in 2023. And then the last one, my resolution is to spend less time on physical products and more time on digital products. And that can be focusing more on content for Freeway Flippers, the podcast, focusing on Amazon merch. Casey wants to really get back at it. And I know I mentioned it on the podcast this year, especially when I was talking about, how you get into Amazon merch. And I look back and I did not create as many designs as I wanted. And our royalties definitely showed we should have been making a lot more, but I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm not going to get down on myself for not doing what I said I was going to do. I'm going to make it a resolution, and that's definitely going to be something that I'm going to work on in 2023. I want to also focus on Kindle Direct Publishing, KDP, maybe putting out some mini books or whatnot on helping people if they want to start reselling, different ways that they can make money on the side, and really kind of bring back my teaching into digital products. And I think that that's going to give me a lot of joy creating things like that. And yes, we're still going to resell. We're still selling on Amazon, but try to focus on more digital rather than physical products. Because in the end, we want to have the flexibility to make money and not have to have all this inventory. We want to be able to travel more. And I think that's going to help us shift our revenue from selling physical products to digital products.
Yeah, I love those. I think both of us came up with some good ones for next year. And one thing that I wanted to mention, if other people are thinking about putting some resolutions together for their business, what I did, my process was kind of thinking about, this is going to be like a sports analogy, so bear with me, especially if you've ever played football or soccer or hockey or something like that. There's usually someone around that's recording your games, maybe even your practices, and then you watch those things back and try to figure out what went well, what went not so well, why someone made the decision that they made, how can we improve this specific play. And I kind of played back my entire year from January 1st last year to yesterday when I was making my notes, and played it back like a game, like it was a playback video of my entire year. Who can I sub out? Who can I sub in? Who's going to help me? What teammates are good for me? Which ones maybe need to be cut from the team? All the good and the bad. You have to evaluate the good and the bad, the things that you did well, the things that you did not so well, where you struggled, where you succeeded, and then analyze those things and figure out how you can compound on the good and eliminate the bad for next year. And, next year when we have this conversation again, there's going to be a whole new set of obstacles and issues and problems to overcome. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. It's good to have those problems, but I just wanted to give a little insight into how I sort of came up with my resolutions, if that can help someone else come up with theirs too.
As we mentioned in the beginning of this episode, this is the very last Paycheck to Daycheck Reselling podcast episode for 2022. We are going to take 2 well-deserved weeks off for the holidays, regroup, spend time with family and friends. I'm traveling to Seattle. Ashley is definitely going to be spending time with her dog. And I know you're going to your parents for Christmas.
Yes.
And we just really want to take the time. When we started this podcast at the beginning of the year, even just brainstorming what we wanted the podcast to be about, We started in March, we launched in August, and we have exceeded 12,000 downloads, which is insane. We're getting about 5,000 a month, which I don't think I ever expected this podcast to be doing that well. I mean, we should definitely give ourselves a pat on the back. We did an amazing job for two people that had no clue how to start a podcast.
Sometimes I feel like we still don't know what we're doing. Like today when we logged on, just to give you guys a little glimpse into the background, I couldn't hear Liz. She couldn't hear me. I had no sound. She had no, it was like, how are we, what is it, 35 episodes in and we still like can't get it right sometimes, you know, it's just technology. And like you would think the settings would be the same, but they're not. And, you know, Liz said, we never expected it to get to where it is right now. And I fully agree with that. The fact that you guys tune in and listen to us every, twice a week, I guess, or watch us on YouTube, hi to everyone watching us on YouTube, is amazing. Like, it's just absolutely incredible. We are so thankful for you guys. We had this idea. We were hoping that it was going to work, and it has far exceeded any expectations that I could have possibly dreamt up. So we really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Yes. So everyone listening, we appreciate you so much. Make sure that you take time off for yourself this holiday season. Yes. We hope you have an amazing holiday season with your loved ones, and we cannot wait to see you back in 2023.
All right, guys, that's a wrap on today's episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Paycheck to Daycheck Reselling Podcast.
Anything we mentioned in this episode will be linked down below in the show notes or description down below.
Be sure to share this episode with anyone you think it will help and follow us on social media at P2D Podcast.
Thanks again for listening. Keep working towards that Daycheck.